Welcome to the CrackBerry.com podcast, episode 100 minus 13 for Friday, June the 22nd, 2012.
BlackBerry.com.
Hey everybody, Kevin here for CrackBerry.com. It is CrackBerry Podcast time. We've got a full house today and a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right to it. It's actually podcast episode 87, but our friends at Android Central had their 100th episode last night, so we're just, poking at them with the 100 minus 13. It was a great delivery from you, Craig. Good to have you on the show. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Feels like months and months.
You have some sound bites for us? Because I love those things.
Many of them stolen, yes.
Kevin.
We've got Adam on the show.
Greetings.
Adam, is there anything new in your life?
No, not really. Just kidding. I had a baby. My wife had a baby. I didn't actually spit her out, but
Do you have a
Her
photo? Yay!
her name's Cassidy. And if you Google her, you'll see about 50 posts because Kevin did a nice blog post on CrackBerry and kicked her into Google at the ripe old age of like 2 hours. So
Wow.
And then all the scraper sites scraped it up, so it's everywhere.
yeah, so pretty much anything she ever does on the internet is just going to be buried now because it's going to be, like 10 years worth of CrackBerry stuff before she gets to it. So it's good.
It's awesome.
The power of PageRank, man.
Right? Exactly.
Chris Umiastowski joining us live from his outdoor office in Toronto.
Yeah, I call this my summer office, and in all honesty, yeah, I pretty much work out here all day, every day, unless it's like yesterday, 35 frickin' degrees outside and unbearable.
Now
So-
you're talking Celsius there for all our Fahrenheit loving.
Yeah. For all you Fahrenheit people, that's like, I don't know, a million or something. It's a lot.
What's the conversion rate? It's like minus 30 times 2 or times 2 minus 30. Something.
I think you subtract 32 multiplied by 9/5 to convert.
It's about 98 degrees, 99, 98.
It was
Yeah.
hot.
Let me know when you hit 107 because that's what
Yeah.
it's been for here for like 3 days now. So
Yeah, that's nuts. We're not Arizona here, but it's still like, it's almost as hot as I was explaining to my daughter. It's as hot as the human body is on the inside outside right now.
Mhm.
Pretty close
Funny.
to it.
Thanks for that.
All right,
And
let's move.
Science
Yumi,
for-
you hit up a BB Jam event in Toronto yesterday, right?
Yeah. In fact, it was fun. I got to see the video for the first time. The Jam video that they introduced. The whole hardest part is the waiting. That whole video.
Okay. Let's talk. We're gonna talk Dev Jam in a little
It's
bit.
hilarious. Yeah, but it was good. I got to go to the Toronto event, and it was really worth attending because there's nothing like talking to people in person. It's a lot better than just reading, commentary on a blog.
For sure. Unless it's CrackBerry, in which case the commentary is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's always awesome. It's just a whole new level of reality when you're there in person talking to people.
For sure. And joining us today via audio, we got Blaze.
howdy.
So if you hear a voice and see none of our other lips moving, it's that guy right there. We got his thumbnail. Are you wearing my sunglasses in that photo?
I am.
Beautiful. You look so good. So sexy.
I know. I look damn sexy in that photo.
And Adam's got the Blaze Man puppet going. Good. Okay, guys. So topics to cover today. We got a bunch of news in that. I'm gonna start with my 1-minute disclaimer that at the moment for the month of June, I'm actually using an Android phone as part of the Mobile Nations World Tour. So basically, I'm taking the waiting time, the downtime between now and BlackBerry 10, to basically try to become smarter than Renee and Phil and Dan and Derek on all the other mobile platforms. Or not, maybe just not quite as smart as them, but I want to get there, So it's been fun. So I've been using this HTC One X for the last few weeks. I'm actually going to San Francisco next week for Google I/O. So I'll bug Phil and his team there. He's got Jerry and Alex going. And just experiencing Android and learning a lot. It's interesting, right? I've obviously used all the platforms over the years and kind of stayed on top of everything. And I'll always buy the latest iPhone and that just to have it in the closet. But I never really take a SIM card out of my BB and like drop BBM and fully commit to it. So it's been interesting to kind of not have a BlackBerry active and actually rely on a different platform. So
Yeah, you're a traitor. Get off this podcast.
I'm not a traitor. Shut up. You know, we've had really great feedback on it, and I've been tossing a few posts up on Android Central, and I was bugging Phil yesterday because my first YouTube video I did, it busted out like 250,000 views, and it was an app review, but it was awesome. I did this. I did a demo of the live wallpaper for the Euro 2012 going on right now, the football soccer games. And Adidas picked it up and put it on their Google Play page in the Android market, which this app's getting, millions of downloads. So the video is just getting like hundreds of thousands of views. It's crazy, right? It was good.
I gotta say,
I'm doing a good job spreading the word for Android, helping those guys out. It's kind of fun.
I think with the hair and the beard, Kevin, you kind of look like more of an Android user now too.
Well, and I'm not making as much money anymore either. So I'm kidding. This is yeah, I don't know. I think next week I'm gonna just have to put on like a green T-shirt and get an Android green shirt. No, I did it for the launch of the new iPad. I got a lot of flack for that too. When I was we were in Miami on launch day, and we went down to the Apple store, and I put on an iMore shirt for Renee, and we did some interviews, and I got just ripped apart by the CrackBerry fans until they realized what was going on, and they're like, "Oh, Kevin's not a traitor. He's just helping his homies out on the other sites," which we like to do because we are a big Mobile Nations family. I'm wearing my T-shirts. Maybe one of these days we'll start giving these away or selling them in the store. But pretty awesome.
So Kevin,
that's that.
The Apple store. Was there a Microsoft store right next door, or not?
There wasn't on Lincoln Road, but maybe by next year, maybe by the release of the newest iPad, the new iPad, then there'll be a Microsoft store next door with that Surface tablet. We should talk about that later this show too.
Definitely.
No, in my local mall they did that. They've got the Microsoft store almost next door to the Apple store, and the Apple store's got millions of people in it. The iStore's got maybe 3. And if you look into both the stores, they look almost identical. The guys are wearing the same shirts with the same white tags they look exactly the same. They use the same font. They use the same tables. It's typical Microsoft not being original. It's hilarious.
It's that's a risky strategy, right? Because if you don't get the people in the store, it backfires. Like it's doing brand damage instead of brand building.
Yeah, but I mean, even down to the T-shirts the guys are wearing and the shape of the tag that hang around their neck, all identical. It's hilarious. I mean, they could have maybe just made a different tag, maybe different T-shirts. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. Even if I did live near a Microsoft store, I wouldn't actually go to one.
Yeah, I just walked past it and took a picture and laughed.
Poor guys.
I don't know where you guys want to start, but I think it's interesting that everybody is emulating Apple, and I mean not everybody. I mean, but the idea of hardware manufacturers or software manufacturers also doing hardware and vice versa. It seems like the world is really changing here, and Microsoft's making a big strategic change, and RIM's already been down that path for many years. And anyway, we should talk about that at some point on this podcast.
Yeah,
definitely.
I want to start with the yesterday. Actually, let's start with the most recent and work our way a little backwards. But who's kidding?
The intelligent journalism you're talking about.
No, it's a CrackBerry podcast. We're gonna jump around every which way, and we have smart listeners who get out of bed early to listen to podcasts, and they do, so they can follow us because we make it challenging for them. No, but yesterday I got really ticked off over. I guess AP or somebody did a headline basically saying BlackBerry 10 phones won't have physical keyboards. They updated that article to then say, oh, the first BlackBerry 10 phone won't have a keyboard. But in the meantime, like watching TV, I think CTV, all the news reports are happening. Oh my God, there's no physical keyboards on BlackBerry. So I had to do a ranty post yesterday basically saying, what the hell, you guys are stupid. RIM already confirmed the first one would be touchscreen last month. And the CEO also confirmed the next one will be a physical keyboard. It's end of story. We don't have an exact timeline, but obviously RIM knows they need to get that physical keyboard one out to the market as soon as possible. And also there's a lot of commentary yesterday from people saying, oh, I think it's a bad idea for them to not do a physical keyboard first. And those people are stupid because obviously they didn't read my editorial where I say, here's all the reasons why the first one needs to be a touchscreen, even if you think otherwise. And you can't argue my Vulcan-like logic. And that's just it. End of story. So I don't know.
I find it surprising that stuff even came up again because, like, it came up before, and it's like one of those bad things that just keeps coming up, and people keep reporting it inaccurately just because it's RIM, and they're like basically striving for doom and gloom headlines. Let's go ahead and bash on RIM some more, so we'll just keep on spewing out the same bullshit garbage. And
it's not quite, Chris, that they're looking, or Blaze, that they're looking for doom and gloom headlines. This is just sort of part of how modern day media works, is that modern day publishing companies need to report stories. They don't necessarily give a rat's ass if the story is accurate or not. All they want is a quick, easy headline. So when something like that pops out, it's a quick, easy blog post. It's a quick, easy 30-second clip on TV. It's quick and easy because the story exists. And nobody puts any effort into it. And even if it's been reported on before, who cares? Because once AP did it, you basically sanctioned the world to say, okay, we can all report on the story again. Even though it's not new news, it's not necessarily correct. It's just the way it is. And I get so frustrated with it.
You know, I think
even if I wasn't writing for CrackBerry, I'd probably have a little bit more faith in my credibility than that, and just go ahead. I'd be like, no, that's not right. Like, why don't people research that stuff at least a little bit? Like, I don't know, man. I just don't get that portion of it.
And some sites reported it right? Like, not everybody got it wrong. But the problem was AP took a wrong lead, which quickly perpetuated wrong, kind of fixed it. So some people kind of had it right, some people had it wrong. And then some people like me said, why are any of you even doing this? Because there's no news here. Like, I get it. So we're forced to write on it too, or else we get like emails saying, why aren't you writing about this? And, tweets saying, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So we have to write on it too. But it just didn't have to. There was no reason any post should have been written yesterday about BB10 and keyboards. It was just like.
Agree. Now I got a question though. Was it AP who originated this story, or did it come from the Toronto Star? The first time I saw it on Twitter was Toronto Star, and I figured that it coincided with BlackBerry Jam in Toronto, and that maybe there was someone there who, because the AP story didn't actually quote anyone; it just referenced someone at the company. Whereas the Toronto Star article seemed to imply that it was someone who actually spoke to a RIM person. And I mean, I don't know. I think the root of the blame might not lie at AP, but it's certainly been perpetuated by them. And it just shows me like generalist news is dead. If you're not a specialist in a topic, like don't write about it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Problem is people still watch the generalists, right? This is why my soon-to-be mother-in-law watches Italian TV, and it's like just everything she talks to me with, I'm like, wow, that's so wrong. I don't even know where you're getting this from. But by the time it goes bang, 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 and it's reported by a generalist, it's completely out of whack.
Yeah.
So.
But I think you have to know that AP reported such a story because smartphones are a huge part of our lives now. So really, it is actually a generalist story. If you think about it, now it is. 5 years ago. But now it absolutely
But
is.
You still need a writer who's a specialist on the general site is the problem.
Yeah, why can't that generalist story be at least somewhat accurate?
And also, I'd love to know why it even came up so many months after BlackBerry World anyway.
Yeah, it's almost
literally
it's worse.
7 weeks after to the day almost.
It's worse than that New York Times story that happened when we were at BlackBerry World. It's worse than being New York Timed.
Kind of, because it's like so, just like, where have you been, right? Like, it's so bad. Okay, let's move on.
All right, next
Speaking
topic,
of BlackBerry World, Craig, 7 weeks ago it was BlackBerry World. You had your wife at the show, so your timing wasn't totally as available, and we never planned, so you didn't get on our show there. Obviously BlackBerry 10, we haven't really heard your take on it yet. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes when we get to the sort of the new hands-on stuff that's been popping around the internet. But I wanted to get a quick take from you, just how the whole mobile fusion enterprise story is shaping up, because we haven't really covered it on the site or podcast as well as we should. I had a lot of good discussions with Bez admins at BlackBerry World. It sounded like a lot of people were demoing it, trying it. Some people liked it, some people weren't sure. Everybody basically said, look, with bring your own device to work, it doesn't even matter if it's good or not. What matters is that people want BB10 phones, and then we'll support it when people want it. But if they don't want the phones, then we're not going to run it just because it's offered. So take it away.
So my thought about BlackBerry Fusion and BlackBerry Balance is that it is a little bit too late to the market. There's a lot of other players that do that. Mobile Line is one that comes to mind. AirWatch. There's a lot of companies that already do mobile device management, so they already support BlackBerry playbooks and iPhones and Android phones already. I thought what RIM should have done is build it into the BERS, because today companies that run BlackBerries run BERSes. And the way that this new technology works from RIM is that you have to have a completely separate infrastructure. You cannot use your BERS. So that is, I think, the thing that RIM has to overcome is the fact that it's a new infrastructure, new file, new servers, new technology, different database, more money to spend, and the licenses are not transferable from BlackBerry user to non-BlackBerry user, which I thought was another mistake. So that's my take on it. I think it looked very good. RIM checked all the boxes, and BlackBerry Balance looks pretty awesome as well. But like I said, they've got an uphill battle. They really do. And the fact that they did not build it into an existing BlackBerry product, I think, is going to hurt them.
What about Microsoft and Windows 8? Microsoft, when they went for Windows 8, they brought a lot of enterprise stuff that people have been asking for. So,
yes, they did. But that's the device side, right? The way that you manage that is still going to be through some kind of MDM solution.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Microsoft never had that stuff before in such a way that IT admins actually wanted to go ahead and make use of it. Now that they have Windows 8 coming, they're kind of like, well, we're going to go after all the business and enterprise, and they seem pretty gung-ho with it.
Right, but I think you're thinking more on the device side. I'm talking more on the actual way that IT administrators administer these things. That's the product that RIM is pushing out there, right? BlackBerry Fusion. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Question, Craig. So with these other solutions, they'll be able to manage BlackBerry 10 phones to some extent?
Yes, yeah. Mobiline supports BlackBerry, well, the playbooks today, right? So when BlackBerry 10 comes out, we're assuming that they would be able to do that as well.
Got it. So basically, Fusion isn't actually critical for RIM to get devices in enterprise. Then it's just better if it's for them if companies are using Fusion. But a person could bring their own BB10 phone in, even if it's mobile iron. Then
right, exactly.
I get the feeling RIM should consolidate this space before it gets too big and gets the eye of regulatory watchdogs.
What do you mean? Expand on this track of
I think that they should consider buying companies like Mobile Iron, consolidating the space before it gets so big, and regulators are going to look at acquisitions and say, oh no, this is anti-competitive. Like, go buy up the players that are relevant now, own the damn space yourself, and then it's basically you and Microsoft.
That was some of the hallway chat at BB World, actually. I had a few conversations with people, and everybody said different stuff, like, oh, I hear they're looking at Mobile Iron. Oh, I hear they're looking at Fixmo. Oh, I hear they're looking at this. This was just coming more from, it was almost more like Bez admins talking about which products they liked. I think that they thought maybe RIM should buy than based on any sort of truth. But I don't know if RIM's got the dollars in the bank to do this right now. I mean, they need the phones out, period.
The thing is that RIM actually did buy a company that made an MDM product, Ubitex. They bought this company, but nobody had ever heard of them. So they weren't a big player. But RIM did buy a company. They actually didn't build this product from the ground up. They took someone else's product. But Chris, I agree they should have bought the big players, Mobile Iron, AirWatch, Boxstone maybe even.
Yeah, and it's not over yet. I mean, that's why I brought it up, Craig, because I think you pointed out that they got into this space through an acquisition. So why not continue to consolidate this through acquisition? It's a valid business strategy. A lot of companies have done this in the past, and that's how you go from a fragmented market to having a few strong players, or in this case, maybe just two.
Right. So that was my problem with it. I think I don't actually know the technical reason why a playbook could never work on a BERS. But you remember when the playbook came out, that was the whole thing, is it didn't work on a BERS. You had to actually install a completely separate server to manage playbooks. Yeah. I really wish that RIM had worked on that a lot more. Maybe it's completely impossible for them to do this, but they should have worked on it more to make it just become part of the BERS. That would have been a no-brainer then, right? The playbook and new BB10 just work on your BERS. Just keep the BERS. Now these guys in the IT departments have to buy a new product. And so that means they're going to evaluate BlackBerry Fusion against Mobile Iron and all these other players and make a decision based on that.
Mm.
And I'm surprised to hear what you said, Craig, about the licenses not being transferable. That just seems incredibly silly.
It was actually a question that came up in Al Sacco's session where all his readers asked these questions, and the guys on stage answered that question and said that they are not transferable. And but he did say something like that's what the current thinking is today. He said that may change, so maybe RIM will change. But as of BlackBerry World, they said they are not transferable.
Oh man.
We shall see. It'll be an interesting one to watch, right? I mean, there's so much up in the air right now, right? Like, and independent parts, but they move together. You know, we need the BB10 phones. They need to rock, and then this is a separate sort of side of the business they need to not just give up on. And
so the other one is BlackBerry Balance, right? So dual persona, like BlackBerry Balance and RIM seems to be implementing it the best way that I've seen, meaning that there are some apps that share the data between the personal and the work persona. Nobody else does that. So Good Technology is another dual persona player, and a company called Enterprise that makes Divide is another player in that same space where they have work persona, personal persona. The only thing I think that counts against RIM is that it only works on BlackBerries. If they had made Balance available, say iOS, Android, Windows Phone, they would be competing against these other guys straight on, because Good Technology supports all of those platforms. That's just my Balance. I mean, Balance looks like a great product. It really does. And as I say, it implements the technology better than everybody else, but it just only works on BlackBerries.
I think that's a fundamental limitation, though. Not limitation. It's a function of the fact that they've built it into the OS. And they wouldn't be able to do it on iOS or Android.
Right. They would be able to do it, but maybe not as good. They wouldn't be able to do the sharing of the app data, but they would be able to do something, I think.
I sense an editorial here, Yumi. Put it on your list. Unless Craig wants to tackle. And Craig, we got to get you writing some articles too.
I know, actually, I do have more time to write these days, so I should.
Oh, have to put you to work. Put you to work. Okay, let's move on. But that's I'm glad we covered that, because we've sort of left that as a gap waiting for you to come on, Craig. So we shall keep our fingers crossed for RIM on the mobile fusion front in the meantime. Let's talk BlackBerry 10 though. So not a bad week actually. We've had a bunch. The BlackBerry Jam tour events are continuing around the world. Last week we had one in London, and CrackBerry's James Richardson was there, and DJ Reyes was there, and James came back with photos and some reactions, because he got to play with a Dev Alpha device running the BB10 preview demo. I think we're pretty much acknowledging now that it's not literally BlackBerry 10 fully running on the device, but more like a demo it loads up to, because we've noticed things like the clock doesn't change time. It's always at, 1337, I think. And, if you go to the app, if you go to the application shortcut screen, like there's the Pictures app is repeated 6 times. Like it's not a fully working BB10. It's a demo.
It absolutely is. And that was 100% confirmed to me yesterday by Gary.
Yeah.
It's Gary a demo with a demo.
Inventor of BlackBerry Messenger. No, so I mean, even that being the case, a couple points to talk on, right? One is this a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing in the sense that's how they made sure they're not showing off more than they want to in this early stage. Because Heinz made it clear at BlackBerry World they want to keep some secrets, and if you put a fully working thing on, inevitably bloggers like us get the secrets out of those demos. So this way they're only showing off what they want to show off. It's also a little bit scary, because you'd almost rather see a working demo of the live thing, right? But I don't know. Interesting.
It's scary to me. You remember it was that guy that posted, like, he ran the demo video of the Nokia Lumia, I guess, on the playbook, and he's like, I got Windows running on the playbook. So it kind of reminds me of that, because it's like, here's our demo, and this is all that it does. So as long as you swipe this way and do this way, everything's going to work properly, but don't do anything more than that, because then it'll look like it doesn't work, kind of thing. So,
right.
It's kind of bad in a sense, I think. But like you said, I didn't even realize it until I think Kevin pointed out to me the other day, all the, the little widgets or the icons on the home screen, they're all like doubled and tripled up. It's like calendar, calculator, weather. So I think in that regard, they should have kind of broadened up the demo a little bit to make it look a little more realistic. But
I hope that what happens over the coming weeks and months is that they just continue to add more functionality to the demo. They reveal their secrets as they're ready, because clearly, like I had a chat with people at RIM yesterday, and I wanted to make sure they understood that there were going to be people who saw these demos and started questioning, oh, does that mean that it's not done yet, that they haven't figured out what it is they want to do with all the things they're not showing? And obviously the answer is no, they have it figured out, and they're already implementing it. It's being implemented and debugged. But they don't want to leave people an impression that just because they say something like, this is not representative of BB10, this is just a demo, they don't want to let people think that, oh, that means RIM doesn't know yet. There's going to be another delay, et cetera, et cetera. So I think they just have to be very clear about how they message it, and then show us more features every few weeks. Like, it's, to your point, Kevin, it's only been 7 weeks since BlackBerry World, and now they're letting people play with the keyboard. Yeah. It's not done yet, but at least they're letting you touch it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to jump in there. Justin in the chat room said that he's a BES admin, and RIM confirmed for him that they will exchange BES, old school BES CALs for BlackBerry device service CALs, which are the ones that run the playbook and BB10, but they will not exchange them for the universal device service, which will run Android and iPhone. So that's actually the distinction there. So RIM is probably trying to keep it in-house, right? Only BlackBerry stuff, but not the non-BlackBerry stuff.
That's reasonable.
I mean, it's reasonable. Right. Is that if you're going for a bring your own device environment, which is pretty much what everybody's doing these days, you cannot make people buy BlackBerry products, right? Mm-hmm. So if you want a BlackBerry infrastructure to run it, I'm all for that. But let the guys move from a BlackBerry to a non-BlackBerry if they want to. So my thoughts on BB10, by the way, from BlackBerry World is that I wish they had showed more. I really wish they had showed more, because 3 features just didn't do it for me. I did like the concept of the keyboard, very innovative. But auto text is not new, as we know. I mean, I think RIM pretty much invented it. But the camera was pretty neat. But really, I wish they had showed more stuff, really. And it made me wonder if any of it's actually ready yet.
Okay, but here's the question for you, Craig, is did you go into BlackBerry World expecting to see BlackBerry 10?
Yes, I did.
See, and I was thinking, like, look, they already said it's coming later this year. We've kind of had October in our heads, even before we went to BlackBerry World. And I'm just thinking, why would you show more than you have to? You need to show something. But I mean, I guess in this case, you're not even cannibalizing BlackBerry 7 sales, because they're basically stalled on their own, right? And the people looking and waiting for BB10 are not the people currently buying, low cost berries. But I don't know if they had to show more than that. It would have been nice, obviously. But I'm still pretty happy we have an understanding of how it's going to look and work now, way more than we have.
I think it's important to show it, and all of the competitors that RIM has have done that. They've showed as many features as they could at these product launches. Right. And with the exception of Microsoft in their recent one, I think they really didn't show very much. And so people already have those questions. Well, why didn't we get to play the keyboard? It looked cool, but maybe it doesn't work. And one of those things crashed on stage. And so we could tell it was a little bit flaky. When Apple and Google do these things, they show all the features. Hey, this is our new operating system coming. Check out all these cool things it can do, and these new devices, and so on. And they really show people, and it builds the excitement. It really does. People see the whole package.
Yeah, so I've been thinking DevCon is going to be more of the BlackBerry 10 unveiling, right? And BlackBerry World, just given sort of the timing of it in relation to the quarters and the share price, that was more of a necessity, like a messaging necessity that, hey, there is new stuff coming. We're not out of whack on it.
Yeah, well, I really hope so. I mean, I'm hoping that maybe closer to whenever it is, September, October, they have another event and they say, check this out. It's coming in 2 months. Get excited.
Or 2 weeks. That'd be better. Or 2 days. Yeah. Or heck, buy it right now after we're off stage.
Yeah.
That's what I'd like to see.
Craig, what you said that made me think of is everyone's striving to, or should be striving to, present as well as Apple does. They're so polished, and RIM is getting better than they were. I think they did a better job than Microsoft did, and Microsoft did a horrible job. Yeah. And we'll see. As the next launch goes, it'd be interesting to see how much better RIM gets at. I don't want to say copying the Apple model, but that's what I mean. I mean, obviously, in terms of presentation polish, that's what you should be striving for. So let's see what they do over the next couple of months.
So, the thing is that the Christmas rush always moves earlier and earlier into the year. And so you always want to have these people getting excited about something way before September, October comes around, because that's when they start buying their product for Christmas. And you want people to be buying, wanting to buy BlackBerry 10s for Christmas, not the new Android phone, which they're going to announce at the same time, or the new iPhone.
But I think the thing with BB10, and I think we wrote an editorial on this also. I think with where RIM is currently at, it doesn't matter to push like new consumers to BB10 for the first time, right? BlackBerry 10 isn't going to outsell the iPhone the first quarter it gets released or anything like that. It's literally going to be meeting a pent-up demand. If they make it, they execute and they bring it to market, they're going to get the 10 or 15 or 20 million device sales off of the current user base upgrading, and some of the people who've left for Android and iOS who are waiting to try the new BB10 phone, and we're seeing those people on our sites. So I think the timing is almost irrelevant. Like, even if it's after iPhone 5 or they screw up and they miss Christmas, I really think as long as when it hits, whenever that is, they've got one crack to get us back, like get everybody back. And if they sell that 10, 20 million units, they're in business, and now they're fighting with their next product to start pulling in consumers and compete with timing and marketing again. At least that's kind of where I'm at with it. I don't know, but obviously sooner the better.
Because he's looking very bored and going to sleep over there. Adam, what are your thoughts?
He's thinking about his baby.
Well, he's on mute, so.
Yeah, he's on mute.
He's totally on mute. We saw the
Sorry.
Sleep deprivation, Adam.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't want you to hear me snoring while you guys were talking. No, it's a combo of kind of what Chris and Kevin both said. Like, you feel like when Apple holds their events, they go through. You look at WWDC where they list, this is iOS 6 and this is what's coming, and then 5 minutes later they have a list of these 200 changes or additions to the OS that's there. So I think I'm kind of hoping that come BlackBerry World, like that's what RIM is going to do. They're going to be, here's BlackBerry 10. This is what it is from start to finish. Whether they show everything off in the keynote or they just have kind of even like sessions for the press, where they go over everything. This is new, this is new, this is new. But and then a combination too. It's just kind to the carryover their BlackBerry base right now, where current BlackBerry users that are hardcore addicts are, they're going to give up their BlackBerry 7 devices and go BlackBerry 10. But like Kevin said, they're not going to aim to outsell the iPhone or the Android devices right off the bat. That's going to have to come down the road for sure. But I think it's a lot of it's, the marketing and everything too, but it's going to be this decent lengthy process to kind of build everything back up. But, would we have liked to see more? I think absolutely, but it's still, I was super pumped coming out of BlackBerry World with what we saw, and it gives you like this anticipation of, if these things are this good, I can't wait to see what else is there, kind of lying in the back of the OS. So hopefully come whenever DevCon is September or October, whatever it is, that we'll get like this wow factor. I always look back to the playbook announcement that we had where we're like, holy crap, like this is the most amazing thing ever. And they didn't even show us anything really OS wise. I think, they kind of showed this demo video and then it was in glass, but we were still super pumped coming out of there. So
the other thing is, like Craig, BlackBerry 10 is not a new OS, right? Like honestly, what they're showing is really just a new skin to what's in the playbook. So right. BlackBerry Flow, the way they're doing the arrangement of the icons and open apps, like it's the same playbook OS. You're just basically rearranging and working on different transitions and gestures. But I mean, if you think about the current playbook today, where you have your when you minimize your apps and they go to the home screen and they run across the tiles, so that's now become the home screen of this grid of 4 open apps, and if you scroll down, you get another 4. And those are your recently running or actually running minimized current apps. And those aren't widgets or tiles. They're literally the minimized app. So just like on the playbook where you can put it in showcase mode and see like video playing, we haven't seen this yet on the BlackBerry 10 phone, but I guarantee that that'll be the case because those are app instances. You scroll to the left, you get your icon tray, which is on the playbook. It's just at the bottom right now.
Yeah.
And then what they're hard coding in new is basically this universal inbox gesture. So that UI to me was the thing that I'm the most excited about because I was really scared they were going to build a touchscreen phone that I personally wouldn't like. And that would be a phone that, requires this kind of two-handed use, hold it in your left hand, scroll down from the top with your right. So I really love what they're doing with the one-handed kind of UI design where, with my thumb, I have pretty much full control over the device. To me, that was the one thing I wanted to see that didn't even occur to me was possible, and it blew my mind. So from now on, it's kind of like if it's as stable as QNX and the playbook, if it's got the simplicity within apps and ease of the OTA updates and everything, which we know it'll all have. It's really just what are they going to do almost, I don't want to say lipstick, but it's a little bit lipstick wise to like just make it a really fresh, fun experience when you go into all the individual apps and everything. Because Playbook's pretty solid.
Just don't say lipstick on a pig, please.
No. This is lipstick on a hot chick. So.
But the one
like Miss CrackBerry when she left for work this morning with her BlackBerry, because she does.
I think of people who have been using BlackBerries forever and like the one-handed thing where you can do everything with your thumb. That is translated over, I think, very nicely to phones that have the similar screen size as, say, the Torch, because you can do everything. But a lot of the manufacturers that make Android phones just want huge phones. I mean, look at that Galaxy Note. I mean, what an abortion of a product.
Oh, Blaze loves the Galaxy Note.
Blaze loves this Note.
Come on.
He was like rolling around BlackBerry World with the Note. He's like, yeah.
I saw somebody holding it up to their head and speaking on it, and their fingers were spread as wide as they could, and they're talking into this thing. I thought,
who the hell uses the Note as a phone anyway?
Smartphones, man.
People use it as a phone, Chris, because it is a phone.
No, it's not.
But you know what, Craig? I will say though, do you guys remember when the first BlackBerries came out on the GSM networks and they started getting sold, in BT Cellnet, which became O2 and is now part of Telefonica, and these were, huge phones for European standards, and so people would keep a cell phone and not use their BlackBerry for voice because they were embarrassed with the idea of holding this thing up to their face. And now, we'll hold an iPhone or a BlackBerry or an Android, so who knows, maybe in 5 years, the Galaxy Note is a completely acceptable form factor to cover your face with.
I hope not, really. I hope not.
I hope not,
mind
too.
Holding a 3.5 to 4 inch phone tonight, but not a 5.3 inch. Sorry.
I want to see somebody who has a Note. Have you seen like that? I don't know what it's called, but that hands-free thing where it's like the thing that goes over your head with the suction cup and you put your phone on your ear. I want somebody to have the Note, and then you just like it gets stuck on your head, and like that's your hand free. So you have this giant.
Ship me one, I'll review it.
I don't know. I saw the infomercial the other day. It's hilarious.
So what I want to know from you guys is that the ecosystem and the apps is what's going to sell BB10. So what do you guys think is going to happen when BB10?
No, Craig. A lack of apps will not sell BB10.
Yes, I agree with you both, and I like the way you're wording it better, Kevin. But I think fundamentally we all agree you need an ecosystem in order to succeed, or people will notice the lack of ecosystem and not want to buy your product, right? So I was hoping we could talk about the trend towards mobile computing, because obviously I think we're enthusiasts of the BlackBerry concept here, and we'll take it as a given that BlackBerry 10 is going to come out. It's going to be a really good messaging product. It's going to help those people who do, et cetera, et cetera. It's based on QNX. It's really, really rock solid in terms of an OS. And where do they go from here? Because if you look at Apple, they've got the MacBook product. It's all tied in together with iCloud. If you look at Windows 8 is supposed to be, one core that sits on the mobile, sits on the tablet, sits on the computer, right? And then you've got RIM, which is more like Microsoft in terms of the QNX-based OS is going to be consistent throughout all their products, but they don't make any actual PC type of product. So where do you guys think this goes in, say, the next 5 to 7 years?
I think a Surface-like product is probably their next bet. That would be their first foray beyond phones into mobile computing. A tablet with a keyboard, and whether it's a keyboard accessory, etc. I mean, even the Playbook with the mini keyboard case, which people are buying like crazy, and a lot of them are loving it. That's kind of where it goes. I don't think it ever goes desktop because that's not mobile computing, I guess.
I agree.
But I think those kind of pseudo-tablet laptop experiences would be the next starting point.
So then that brings up the question of if you want to be a real serious player on the mobile smartphone or the mobile computing, then you need to have a much better ecosystem of core apps. Like obviously we've got a browser, we've got an email client, but RIM needs to have rock solid documentation.
Well, they bought Docs2Go, or they licensed whatever.
But what have they done with it? They haven't done anything with it.
They're getting it ready for BlackBerry 10, Blaze. So
I hope so. I really hope so, because I'm underwhelmed with what I see right now. Like I open Docs2Go and I see a blank page with no icons.
This conversation I've been having with you guys for like 3 years now. RIM needs an ecosystem. I've been saying that for like 3 years, and they don't have it. They still don't have it.
And the proof that they can get one.
The
would be
apps
getting,
aren't there. There's no combination between the apps that they do have. They don't integrate with each other. They're all over the board with their stuff.
Yeah,
but they need to get their shit together. They need to make it all copacetic and make it all work together.
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Good morning. Blaze, I have an idea for your next editorial.
What?
That's it. Write it. RIM needs an ecosystem. I want to see the Blaze editorial on this. Come on.
I want to see RIM go out and issue CrackBerry holds contests, right? Well, I'd like to see RIM hold contests with developers for like big money prizes, saying, build me the best frickin' document editor. Take what we have with Docs2Go, we open it up to you, make it open source, and boom, go turn this into something amazing. And then compete with Apple on all levels. They've got GarageBand, they've got iMovie, whatever else they have, they've got Keynote. Go and reproduce those by having super smart developers compete for $1 million plus prizes and solve this problem.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
I like it. I see an editorial for you, me too, man.
Here we go.
We should just have podcasts and we get all these editorials.
What I hope that they really attract the developers, because the last couple of times they did it, like build an app for the playbook, you get a free playbook, and the app store is full of crapware. Crapware. They need to do something to make people build quality applications to win something, don't you think?
Yeah,
that's kind of what they try to do, where they're saying that you can make whatever it is, 10,000 in a year by making, quality apps. But they haven't really defined what their quality apps are. But I mean, I think in a way they're moving in the right direction, telling developers like, if this is what you do, you make a decent app or a quality app, whatever you want to call it. Then you'll make $10,000 within a year. And if you don't, then, we'll give you 10,000 or whatever it is. So it's a step in the right direction, but I do, I think they need to kind of put out the call for big apps.
That was pretty much the biggest takeaway from BlackBerry World for me. I mean, yeah, the BlackBerry 10 stuff that they said was all cool, but realistically, when it came down to it, BlackBerry World felt like BlackBerry DevCon to me, because everything was basically leading towards developers and showing developers what is possible, showing developers what is up and coming. And they announced a whole bunch of tools and are like, yes, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. You can do this, 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 this. And then here we were, like 3 weeks later, they started rolling out all that stuff, and they're still continuing to roll out all of that stuff. Everything was in beta previously. It's all been updated. They're all getting tools. They're opening up new APIs. They're allowing developers more access. And if there was any sign that was the case, that BlackBerry World felt more like BlackBerry DevCon than an actual BlackBerry World, is the fact that they're still continuing the BlackBerry 10 Jam tours, and they're going hard after developers. They're hitting every possible place with developers and say, look, you can do this stuff. Whether or not that's actually going to pay off is going to be a totally different story, because, yeah, we do look around. There's a lot of talk happening at the BlackBerry 10 jams that are taking place. Developers are genuinely interested. I mean, all you have to do is hit the hashtag on Twitter. You see tons of people just basically tweeting it out. I'm at BlackBerry 10 Jam, got my BlackBerry Dev Alpha, I'm going to build apps. But right now, we're still not seeing anything coming out of it. We're just seeing that, yeah, RIM is working on things, which is really good, because developers haven't exactly felt the best of love from RIM in the past. So it's kind of like RIM needs to get their shit together on their side, but they also need the developers to start pulling their weight too and actually producing some of these apps, because previously they haven't exactly gone ahead and did so well with the applications that are in there. They held like Craig said, the playbook stuff. They ended up with getting a bunch of crap apps, right? So they need quality apps in there. They need people that actually care about the platform, use the tools. Like Union is pumping out a ton of games, great games actually, that are all coming from other platforms. So they're all the stuff that everybody wants off of other platforms like Android and iOS. So that's a good start. At least they got gaming down. But there's still no like native Twitter app for the BlackBerry Playbook or anything like that. Black is a great app for the BlackBerry Playbook, but it's not a native app. And people want those native apps. They need to see those native apps. You know, whether it be
Yeah.
Netflix, they need to see Skype, they need to see those big names by those
Well-
big name developers, not, you know, like,
they're baking it into the messaging on like the accounts on the system. So I think that's what they're saying is good enough for a native experience.
I
You
don't know.
had your Facebook. And
Is
Twitter
that good
account.
enough though? Is that good enough? Is the experience going to be good enough to be able to go ahead and bring those people in? Because unless you actually have Twitter support, like a branded Twitter application on there, then people
But-
people will look it over.
But isn't it a bit of a choice? Because why isn't it becoming a bit redundant then to bake it into your unified messaging, but then also have another app? Like RIM's kind of value proposition is that, you know, why do you want separate apps? Communication is communication, whether it's happening on Twitter, Facebook, email, or text. So if we bring everything into one unified spot and you can produce from there, that's a more efficient way than this open, close, jump from app to app. I get that if you want to immerse yourself in the full experience, having something is better, but that could be third party or native at that point. I think that the real native experience they're bringing is the most native because it's baked into the unified messaging system.
I'm
So-
with you, Kevin. I think I understand what you're saying, Blaze. I think that RIM's goal here should be to integrate something like Twitter so deeply into the OS that you don't need the app. And then it challenges the developer to say, oh, RIM didn't do this and people really want to do it, so I'm going to create an awesome Twitter app for it. And then people have the choice, to your point.
So I think that's good for both of you, but I think the important thing to remember is that when you bake Twitter and Facebook into an operating system, like Apple and Google have done, you can only bake in the very basic bare bones stuff, you know, tweeting a URL, tweeting a picture, all that kind of stuff. You need a real app. And if the company like RIM builds a real app and puts it in the operating system, that app will only get updated every 6 months, and that just won't fly. People need updates to Facebook all the time, right? So you always have to have that second app, and that's really what they need.
Yeah.
All right, I like that that was a good discussion, actually. One thing I wanted to touch on, Craig, you mentioned, you know, the camera there at BlackBerry World, and the demo was pretty good. Turns out, you know, that was licensed. They're working with a company called Scalado to bring that to BB10. And now this week, Nokia went ahead and announced they're buying Scalado, so there's a bit of a panic attack on it. You know, it's confirmed that the camera is still going to be in BB10, but interesting move by Nokia to go after a company that, you know, owns a lot of the digital photography patents and technologies. Like even things like, I think the panorama view that is on, who has that, Android or Windows Phone or both? You know, I think they have a lot of the IP on that kind of thing. So big company for Nokia to go after and own in this space to try to, you know, I guess solidify their position a bit over the next little while.
I wrote a huge article after BlackBerry World with all of my thoughts, and that's one of the things I said when I talked about the camera, the fact that it is a third-party company. RIM did license the technology, and in fact, you could find the demo on YouTube from the Scalado client running on Android. And I actually said in that article, I said, other people, are, once they see this, right, because it kind of was, you know, it wasn't really out there, this technology, but it was cool once you saw it. I said in there, people are going to call this company up and license their tech. And I think Nokia took it to the next level and said, we need to buy this company. So
it's a big company, though. It's not a cheap purchase. RIM would have bought them. I think RIM couldn't probably afford to buy them right now.
Right.
Yeah, you know, and that speaks to some of the risks RIM is facing here. They don't have, as much as everyone thinks about, oh, RIM, they've got $2 billion. They have a great balance sheet. They can, you know, they can weather the storm. They don't have a good enough balance sheet to strategically go out and do some of the things that maybe they should be doing.
Yeah. So what I was really saying in my article was that it's a very cool technology, and for me, I'd only seen it for the first time at BlackBerry World, but other people had apparently seen this a year before, right, with the Scalado demo. And I said, people are going to license the tech. It's not going to be unique to BlackBerry 10. And unfortunately, I think this is really what we're seeing this week. I think Windows Phone's going to have it soon, right? Probably in Windows Phone 8 it's going to be included.
Hard to say it depends how the deals are written, right? You know, when RIM's going to come out on stage and do it, they may have, exclusively licensed for a period of time that specific application. But hard to say, right? But yeah, they obviously don't fully own it. You know, they just have rights to put into BB10 right now. So we shall see.
And now they're at risk too, because while Nokia has gone out and said, yes, we're going to endorse the deal that RIM did, that's that deal. How long does that deal last, and what happens after that? No guarantees. It's like hedging in financial transactions. You're only hedging something for the short term, and once the hedge expires, if something moves on you, like interest rates or whatever, I'm not going to go into this, but I'm just trying to draw a metaphor that maybe isn't the right one to use here. But all bets are off once the deal expires, and then RIM could be sitting there without technology.
Talking about all bets are off. So remember, this time last year, I was ramping up my campaign to get, be the CEO or be the chairman of the board for RIM heading into the summer in the annual general meeting of shareholders. And then we got a new CEO, so I kind of dropped my, aspirations there. Although we found out he makes $10 million a year, so I'm really thinking about starting a campaign up again to get in there in the upper management level or CEO. I mean, I like Heinz, but.
Yeah, but you could go for his boss's slot now and be the chairman of the board.
Yeah, but how much do they make?
Well, not as much, but still pretty good.
The one thing
that's pretty huge.
Just off the cuff thought that I have there is when I was sitting in the BlackBerry 10 keynote, I did not think that Heinz did a good job of presenting. He was too reserved, and it looked like he was really trying to be excited, but he just didn't know how to make that happen on stage. I thought he was quite bad at that, unfortunately.
He did a lot better than Lazaridis did.
Yeah.
He actually had genuine emotion. It wasn't like, wow, that's amazing.
So, Craig, I mean, this is something we talked about a lot at BlackBerry World, in the press room and that. And obviously, some guy like us, we've been seeing BlackBerry keynotes, everyone for years and years. And I mean, compared to Lazaridis or Balsillie, he's so much better. Yeah, I agree. Like, sort of the style of presentation RIM goes for a little bit. There's a bit of, it feels like acting they try to work in that doesn't always come across perfect. But in general, pretty good. And I don't know, Craig, did you see the press session the next day?
No, I didn't.
So he did a press session with, the 130 or 80 or whatever press in attendance the next day. That was his venue. Unbelievable. Yeah. Like, so in that venue, he just came in, no script, no slot, no teleprompter, any of that crap. And he just talked to us for probably 45 minutes. And he's awesome. And everybody afterwards, like the bloggers who I'd say are normally a little more cynical of that, they're just like, yeah, he just seems like a really, really genuine, good, nice guy. Like, you can't actually fault him when you see him. He just comes across as a genuine, sincere, like, somebody's dad, like he's just a nice, normal guy. He's not screwed in the head. He's smart. He's got his stuff. And I think the show presentation, like the showmanship side, there's room to improve. And I think he will improve very quickly on that. And actually, even seeing him from his first appearance in Amsterdam, where he did at the BlackBerry DevCon Europe, that was his first thing, 2 weeks after he took the role. And he wasn't as good there, I would say. And he was better at BlackBerry World. And I think by the time he gets to BlackBerry DevCon, I think he'll be even better. I think it's... those things take practice, and once you go through one or two, nothing crashes and burns. I think he came out okay. I think he's going to get really good. So,
okay,
we'll see. But the thing is, that setting isn't the setting for him. The setting is that sort of, I don't think RIM PR, legal, or marketing would let him go on stage without a script. But honestly, I think if they did, that would be the best thing. He reminded me of when I was at MWC 2 years ago, and Eric Schmidt from Google took the stage and that kind of thing. And he just talked to a huge room of people for an hour. And it's more like a university professor, but an awesome university professor. Just smart as hell, talking, comfortable, and you just see how smart the guy is. And that's a way better environment. But unfortunately, you can't launch and announce products that way because, if you get one word wrong, everybody jumps on it and writes wrong headline.
That was like the press session that we had, I think, where he was just in there with a room of people and he just kind of did his thing, and he wasn't really scripted at all. He knew what he wanted to talk about, but he just kind of went from one thing to the next, and he was very charming and funny and captivating, and it was like you said, like a, college professor, and we were all just sitting there and like, we wanted to listen to what he said, we were laughing, we were clapping, and it was much better. But at the same time, there's no way that you'd be able to do that, in front of a room of 1,000 people, because like you said, if you get that one word wrong, then it's where everybody's like, oh, RIM devices will never have physical keyboards, and that's the end of it. So
you're a publicly traded company, so you just have this. Right. You're not allowed to do that. But and then in the private setting too, or the off the cuff setting, then you get all his personality and the awesome sort of what are they called? The old adages come out. So he's like, yeah, we got a little bit too much fat on the bone, and we need to trim some meat on the hips, and we're gonna become
laser-like focus that melts steel.
Lean, mean. We're gonna turn RIM into a lean, mean hunting machine. It's like,
yeah.
You just can't help but like him. He was really good.
I like how he squashed all the bad questions. Like, he just took everything that he could humanly possibly think of that was bad, and he beat everybody to those questions.
Yeah, that was brilliant of him. I mean, he came in with a very focused list of the top issues that he just needed to set the record straight on before anybody wasted any time asking those questions. And when it comes to presenting, though, I would say he's good off the cuff, but never as good as if you plan it in detail and then rehearse the hell out of it so it looks like it's off the cuff. That's the magic of a great presenter. It looks like it's just being pulled out of his ass, but it's brilliant, and that's all from rehearsal.
Yeah, but it was it'll be interesting to see him at his next show, right? I think the good thing is it's just not Mike and Jim anymore. I hope they don't listen to this podcast, but I don't think they ever like this anyway, so I'm not concerned. It's a lot easier for the honesty to come out now when I don't have to see them next week on the show. Did I just say that? The show's over. I think we're probably at an hour mark. Is there anything else we want to touch on?
We could quickly touch on the manufacturing stuff, because that's another thing the media just totally screwed up.
And what about the 6,000 labels? So what, is that true or not? I mean, somebody, two blogs covered that yesterday.
Which topic?
That RIM's laying employees. I mean, I think BGR covered that, and Gadget covered that.
Well, that was, again, old news. We blogged that back in end of May, and that was what prompted RIM to do that business update back at the end of May, right? Okay. Based on those rumors.
Oh, the layoffs,
so Yeah, the layoff rumors and that. So I think they are probably going to be starting. I mean, Chris, you had a great editorial on that. Might be worth it.
They have to do it. I mean, this is a huge change in the direction of this company when you go through a massive product transition. So there's no doubt, but all that is a sign of the past. It's a sign that they are no longer where they were. They no longer are going where they already were. When you change directions like that and skill sets that you require totally change, your head count is going to have a lot of turnover. Simple as that. And it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
And reporting on it like it's an indicator of anything else than the past is just bad. So, and it's the same thing with, Celestica dropped RIM. Like, I'm sorry, but when you're a contract manufacturer and 19% of your revenue is coming from research in motion, you don't just go, oh, we don't want their business anymore. We're kiboshing the production line. No, that's a function of RIM going out there and analyzing their supply chain and saying, we don't need 4 or 5 contract manufacturers anymore. We need to consolidate. We're going to fewer form factors. We need maybe 2 or 3 at the most different contract manufacturers. So who's going to lose our business? Well, probably the guy who's the least competitive on willingness to compete. And, Celestica, I'm just speculating here, but maybe they weren't willing to drop their pants a little bit more on margin. Everyone else was. That's just the way things work out. But it wasn't Celestica. Yeah. So saying, Celestica basically drops RIM, they don't think, like that's an indicator that Celestica doesn't believe in RIM. No, it has absolutely nothing to do with any of that.
Yeah, it's like saying we don't want your money, right? Like BS. Yeah. Cool, guys. I think we should probably wind it down. To the questions in regards to my hair, I'm growing it out to October 10th, 10:10 a.m. because that's when BlackBerry 10 will be released. I don't know if that's true or not. I just think it'd be cool to see BB10 launch on 10:10 at 10.
It would get them some attention.
So it's growing. We'll see how it goes. I got some highlights in there last week to make it look a little more stylish. And pretty excited. Yeah, I will get a headband, maybe a CrackBerry headband. It'd be pretty awesome.
How about just
a hair strip?
Maybe just a hat. Maybe you should just wear a hat until October.
Maybe not.
I'm all for the
Gosh.
CrackBerry headband. I'd
Maybe
like
you
to
should
see
shut
that.
your face.
Maybe you should shut your face and get a haircut.
All right.
Kevin,
Okay, guys.
fabulous man.
That was fun, guys.
Alrighty, let's. Renee,
Yay for
Richie, do you want to take
babies.
us out? Or
Well, first, I'd like you to
executive
tell me
producer.
where I can find you, Kevin.
Sure. My name is Kevin Mitchelluk. You can find me on Twitter at CrackBerryKevin, and I also set up an account for the Mobile Nations World Tour for Android. You can also find me at Candroid Kevin. Get it? Candroid, like I'm Canadian and Candroid, but also I just know how to use Android, like I Candroid. I thought it was really clever, but I only have 3 followers there, so you can I would stick to CrackBerry Kevin.
And he's on Google Plus
And
now, too.
that's it. What?
You're on Google Plus now, too.
Oh yeah. What is it, Adam? The 2 plus. What's the shortener?
Just Google CrackBerry. Google Kevin Mitchell, and you'll find him on Google Plus.
No. I think it's like plus.to/CrackBerryKevin or whatever the thing is.
Adam Zeiss, where can we find you?
Coolerthankevin.com. Just kidding. About me /Adam, Azeiss on Twitter, CrackBerry, Jersey.
Nice.
That's all.
Chris Umi.
Yeah, you can
Jersey Adam.
you can find me on Twitter at C.Umiastovsky or just chrisumiastovsky.com, and that's the best way to reach me.
Craig.
You can find me at iBanian on Twitter, about.me/iBanian, or if you want to buy one of my books, www.craigsbooks.info. Plug.
That'll be $50 for advertising.
Blaze.
Check
Well
the mail.
done, slipped it in there.
Blaze.
Almost made it.
Yeah.
Where can we find
Oh,
you?
where am I?
Yeah.
Oh, you can find me on Twitter at BLA1ZE. You can also find my stuff on Android Central, CrackBerry, and sometimes iMore as well.
Sweet.
Where can we buy your
Nice.
books?
My books?
we buy your books?
Any brown paper bag establishment you know of.
Yeah, and if you send me a personalized email, I will gladly write you back and maybe, like do a digital signature autograph or something with some hippie
There we go.
remark.
You can
Yeah.
There we go.
You can find all of us at CrackBerry. You can email us at podcast@crackberry.com, or you can just leave a comment on this fabulous podcast when it goes live on the blog. For all of our shows, check out mobilenations.com/shows or follow @mobilenations on the Twitters. We are here whenever CrackBerry Kevin damn well feels like it.
Woo!
And thanks for the chat room.
Yes, and that concludes podcast episode 100 minus 13. The title of this episode was Lipstick on a Hot Chick. That's it. Kevin out. Yay. I think Lipstick on a Hot Chick is totally going on the blogs.
Very nice.
That's actually, yeah, that's got to be used as a title somewhere. And then lipstick on a hot chick, kiss my app.
Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll do
fuck
Kiss
is
My
that?
App. Is
I
that
tried to
what's-
buy that domain last night. Sorry, somebody already got it.
What about
Kiss
Kiss
My
My Apps? You can go for the plural.
True,
Ooh.
yeah. But it just doesn't have the same ring to it.
And now you have a contest where everyone has to kiss their favorite app on CrackBerry.
Hey, also,
Yeah.
while I have people's live attention, I was thinking now that I'm getting married, I got to pay for a wedding, and it's really freaking expensive. I was contemplating selling one of my watches I don't wear that much. Does anybody want to buy a nice watch?
I'll buy your Daytona.
I don't
I have
even
That's
I'm
that's
on
what I
top.
want to sell. I've worn it like 3 times.
Count me in.
Okay.
Sign me up.
We'll also
$50
have a
bucks?
fundraiser for Kevin on a future
Yeah.
podcast.
Like 10K. It's a Rolex Daytona, stainless steel, silver, white. I wear the Panerai. I love my Panerai and my Bella Roscoe and my Omega. But the Rolex is just a little too small on my wrist. I'm too beefy.
Mrs. CrackBerry doesn't
Screw
want to
watches. I want a MacBook Pro with Retina display.
Oh, yeah. I'm
You
with
have to write a
Well,
million.
You can buy you know what,
Words.
Kevin, you should do is once you sell your watch, then you can buy like 5 MacBook Pros for everyone on the CrackBerry team.